Imagine sitting in a high-rise office in Manhattan, looking at two identical business plans. On paper, both founders are brilliant. Both products solve a legitimate problem, and both markets are hungry. Now fast forward 5 years, one founder is standing on stage at NASDAQ after a multi-billion-dollar IPO, while the other is staring blankly at a spreadsheet in a cramped studio apartment in Queens, wondering how they're going to cover next Friday's payroll after maxing out their third credit card. Why did one blow up into a global powerhouse while the other got crushed? If you ask the average person, they'll talk about luck, hard work, or having a revolutionary product. But if you talk to the venture capitalists, moving billions across Silicon Valley and Wall Street, they'll tell you the brutal truth. Hard work is a baseline requirement, not a competitive advantage. And product isn't king, the system is. Every year, over 5 million new businesses are registered in the United States alone. Yet less than 0.001% ever cross the $100 million mark. The vast majority don't fail because their founders didn't care enough or work hard enough. They fail because they were playing a game designed to keep them small. They fell into psychological traps, built weak operational foundations, and mistook passion for leverage. In this video, we are going to tear down the illusions surrounding business growth. We will examine the hidden mechanics of scale, why most entrepreneurs are trapped in high stress, low-margin self-employment, and the exact shift in psychology and execution required to break into the top 1%. Whether you're building a tech startup, running an e-commerce brand, or trying to scale a local service business, understanding these rules isn't just about making more money. It's about claiming control over your time and your life. Pillar 1, the product trap and emotional attachment. Most founders start a company because they love a specific product or service. You're a chef who opens a restaurant, a designer who starts an agency, or an engineer who builds a tool. The immediate impulse is to pour 100% of your energy into perfecting the offering. You tweak the UI, redesign the packaging, or obsess over every detail. To you, this product is your child. This is the first major trap, falling in love with the solution rather than the system. When your product becomes your identity, you become blind to cold, hard market feedback. You treat financial indicators not as neutral data, but as personal judgments. While you are obsessing over a 5% product improvement, your competitor who built an aggressive sales distribution network and a high-converting marketing machine is stealing 80% of your market share with an inferior offering. Products don't scale companies. Business engines do. If your business relies on your personal craftsmanship to deliver value, you haven't built a company. You've just bought yourself a relentless, demanding job. Pillar 2, financial blindness and the backbone illusion. If the product is the heart of a business, the financial architecture is its spine. Yet, the vast majority of early-stage founders are paralyzed by financial numbers. They look at bank balances instead of cash flow statements, and confuse gross revenue with actual health. Imagine driving a sports car down a mountain pass at 100 miles per hour, with a foggy windshield and a broken fuel gauge. That is how most entrepreneurs run their businesses. They focus on top-line revenues, celebrating a while completely ignoring the fact that their unit economics are bleeding them dry. To build a scalable entity, you must understand your numbers intimately. Customer acquisition cost, CAC, lifetime value, LTV, gross margins, burn rate, and runway. If your backbone is weak, your business might stay alive when the sun is shining. But the second a rainstorm hits a supply chain delay, a lost client, or an economic downturn, the entire structure collapses under its own weight. Cash flow isn't just an accounting metric. It is the oxygen that keeps options alive. Pillar 3, the scaling delusion. Growth versus scale. There is a massive, costly confusion between growth and scale. Growth means adding resources at the same rate you add revenue. You gain a new client, so you hire another manager. You double your orders, so you double your warehouse space. Your revenue goes up, but your costs scale right alongside it. Your margin stays flat, and your stress multiplies exponentially. Scale is fundamentally different. Scale happens when revenue grows exponentially, while variable costs increase linearly or stay flat. Consider a local bakery versus a software platform. If the bakery wants to sell 10 times more bread, it needs 10 times the flour, more ovens, and twice as many bakers. If the software company adds 10 times more users, Its cloud hosting costs might go up by 5%, but its operating margin expands dramatically. If you scale an inefficient, low-margin business model without fixing its core unit economics, you aren't building wealth. You are simply scaling your liabilities and accelerating your path to bankruptcy. Pillar 4. The ecosystem deficit. Why isolation kills growth. No business scales in a vacuum. The difference between an enterprise that stays stuck in a single city and one that expands globally often comes down to their ecosystem connectivity. Look at how supply chains and industry networks operate in hyper-competitive markets, like Silicon Valley or Boston's biotech corridor. Top-tier companies don't try to build everything in-house. They plug into an existing infrastructure of specialized legal teams, capital allocators, logistics partners, and strategic acquirers. When an isolated business gets an order for $10 million, it panics and breaks down because its localized supply chain can't handle the load. When an ecosystem-integrated business gets that same order, it leverages existing relationships, offloads capital expenses to specialized partners, and fulfills the contract seamlessly. If you are the smartest person in your network and you hold every key relationship yourself, your network isn't an asset, it's a bottleneck. Pillar 5. Capital misallocation and the incentive misalignment. Money is a magnifying glass. If you put capital into a healthy business engine, it speeds up growth. If you pour capital into a broken model, it simply burns through cash faster. Over the past decade, low interest rates created a culture of easy venture money. Founders raised hundreds of millions of dollars at inflated valuations, pouring cash into hyper-aggressive B2C customer acquisition, literally paying to acquire a customer who would only ever spend $50. They mistook subsidized user growth for a sustainable business model. When the macroeconomic environment shifted and capital got expensive, these cash-burning juggernauts crashed overnight. Capital must be allocated with extreme discipline. Every dollar deployed must have a clear line of sight toward increasing efficiency, deepening a competitive moat, or expanding high-margin revenues. Raising capital is not the destination. It is debt or equity dilution that raises the stakes on your execution. Pillar 6. The innovation paradox. Products versus positioning. When entrepreneurs think about innovation, they almost always default to product feature design. They think they need to invent something that has never existed before. In reality, some of the most profitable companies in history didn't innovate on the physical product at all. They innovated on positioning, distribution, and business models. Consider coffee. A basic cup of drip coffee costs around 50 cents to make at home. Yet millions of people walk into Starbucks or high-end artisan cafes every morning to pay $7 for a latte. Did Starbucks reinvent the coffee bean? No, they innovated on the experience, the third-place culture, the operational consistency, and the real estate footprint. If your product looks identical to everything else on the shelf, your innovation shouldn't be adding 3 more unnecessary features. It should be changing how you reach the customer, how you package the offer, or how you build an obsessive community around your brand identity. Pillar 7. Governance and the founder's dilemma. As a company grows, the biggest threat to its survival eventually becomes the person who started it. This is the founder's dilemma. The skill set required to go from $0 to $1 million. Raw instinct, central control, speed's the exact opposite of the skill set required to go from $10 million to $100 million, which demands documentation, delegation, corporate governance, and operational predictability. Many founders treat their company like a personal playground. They lack formal governance, proper internal controls, and transparent reporting. They refuse to hire executives who are smarter than them because they fear losing control. As a result, they hit an invisible ceiling. They get overwhelmed by administrative fires, drop the ball on compliance, and turn away strategic investors who refuse to back an unstructured, chaotic operation. To scale the business, the founder must be willing to scale themselves, or get out of the way of professional leadership. Pillar 8. The psychological toll and hedonic adaptation. Underneath all the strategy, spreadsheets, and market mechanics lies the deeply human element of entrepreneurship, psychology. Building a business is an emotional roller coaster where the peaks are exhilarating and the valleys feel existential. Many entrepreneurs fall victim to hedonic adaptation as soon as they hit a milestone, the target moves. They cross $1 million in revenue, but instead of feeling a sense of accomplishment, they feel anxious because someone on social media is posting about hitting $10 million. This constant mental pressure leads to burnout, reactive decision-making, and high-risk gambles. When you operate from a place of financial desperation or ego-driven insecurity, you make short-sighted choices. You sign bad contracts, ignore red flags in hiring, and sacrifice long-term enterprise value for short-term revenue hits. True endurance in business requires emotional regulation, long-term perspective, and an unshakable clarity on why you are playing the game in the first place. At the end of the day, we need to ask ourselves a fundamental question. What is the true purpose of wealth and business ownership? It is easy to get caught up in the modern culture of status signals, the luxury cars, the flashy offices, the vanity metrics, and the valuation headlines, but those are exterior illusions. True wealth isn't about showing off what you have. It's about what you control. True wealth is freedom over your time. It's the ability to wake up on a Tuesday morning and decide exactly how you will spend your next 8 hours. It's the peace of mind that comes from knowing your family is secure, your operational foundations are solid, and your income isn't dependent on you trading every hour of your life for a paycheck. If your business requires you to be chained to your desk 14 hours a day, stressed out, sick, and away from the people you love, it doesn't matter how much revenue you are generating. You are broke in the currencies that actually matter. Building a scalable, sustainable business is not a sprint, nor is it a lottery ticket. It is a systematic discipline. It requires you to transition from a passionate technician to a calm, strategic operator. Master your numbers, build real systems. Protect your culture, and align yourself with partners who sharpen your vision. Stop chasing vanity metrics. Focus on building an enduring asset that generates real profits, serves real human needs, and buys back your ultimate luxury, your freedom.